This is Face to Face with the co-founders of the National Association of Expert Advisors, Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
We believe that we can change the real estate industry. There is a better way to sell real estate.
Your success is ultimately a sum of the decisions that you make.
And they're really developing a process, a set of guidelines, a set of procedures.
They're also best-selling authors.
Here today to discuss the issue is Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
All right, welcome to Face to Face. I'm Jay Kinder.
I'm Michael Reese.
And we have some very special guests today. Our first area partner outside of Texas in Atlanta, Tracy Cousineau, Jason Williford. And I'm really excited to share you guys a story because really the last 4 years, I mean, you're probably the poster children of rapid success, like ramping your business up. And the numbers that I have, you guys are on pace for 404 this year. This is your fourth full year since we've been involved together. And when you came across us and came to one of our events, probably EGS, I would assume, you were around 46 transactions. And first of all, what it takes to execute and get to what you guys have done is not something that most people accomplished, right? So it's unique in that. And I think that there's my goal in today's podcast is sharing what are the things that you did to make it happen? Because we know we've done it before, we've helped, and we've seen people do it, and we see the people that don't succeed. But I think from your perspective, it's pretty fresh, right? I mean, the things, and you would assume, man, you had to have done everything right in order for that to have happened. But I'm sure there's probably some lessons learned that you can share as well, right, along the way. So, I want to kind of dig into the thinking, your mindset, and just try to give as much value as we can to anyone who's listening to the podcast, or if you're watching the podcast. And if you are watching the podcast, by the way, you probably notice you guys are looking stellar in great shape too. And I want to talk about that as well because my goal in real estate wasn't when I was doing the most transactions that I had done, I was also the fattest I'd ever been. I was out of shape. I was miserable. The business model was just not right, and I didn't know all that at the time. But I was miserable. I was unhappy, and I wasn't on my game. You know what I mean? In every area of my life. And I think that's something that you guys bring to the table as well, is you guys aren't killing yourselves. You guys are traveling all over the place. In fact, I have it in my pocket here. As I was looking for my key to get in the building here, because I'm never down here, I found this. Where'd it go?
I feel like you're a magician.
I am a magician.
Right?
Watch. Bing. Yeah. It's a rabbit. It's the root key to St. Thomas. So just a reminder that we just spent 2 weeks together.
An amazing time.
In BVI. We did have an amazing time. That was awesome. So, you guys are living life and you're doing things that are difficult to accomplish, but you're able to balance that. So I want to really dig into that and what were those catalysts, those key things each year that you guys have really focused on and implemented well that really made a difference in you guys' opinion. We'll talk about that new goal towards the end of 2,808 transactions. I saw you post, which I'm excited about that because I feel like the first 3 podcasts that we've talked about has been about how we're breaking the mold and we're breaking the old business model. Doesn't allow, that's the first time I've ever seen anybody with 2,800 transactions as a goal for their team and their business. And I believe I know we will accomplish that, right? So I think it's interesting. I think most people whether you've listened to the last podcast or not, I think it's something that it's expanding your thinking and your mind around what it takes to be able to accomplish that. And I think everybody will benefit from that level of thinking and that discussion as well. So we'll get into that towards the end. But Michael, anything you want to kick this thing off with? I know you've always got something going on in your head there.
No, I know they're going to bring a tremendous amount of value. I feel extremely privileged to spend a lot of time with them. Y'all all three are similar, and so maybe I can. I would say that it's just awesome. 3 of the most massive action takers that I know. Like if I was like, when we were talking about the podcast, I was thinking Jay doesn't realize it, but for years he's always on the bleeding edge of technology.
There he goes again.
And I'm being for real. My G task that you gave me, I was like, he always gives me these nuggets. I mean, he'll walk up to me and say, "Have you seen this? Have you seen that?" And when I'm working with you guys, y'all are always on the cutting edge, and so of implementing things and trying things. And it's just, I think that this is going to be an awesome episode and a lot to learn and a lot of takeaways. So have your pins ready for sure.
Can we piss somebody off first? Can we at least start there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we like to, every episode, we tend to like to piss somebody off. We're going to start today with pissing somebody off. So, it may or may not piss anybody off, but I like to think it will. So, you brought this up, another disruptor in the real estate industry, which is it's become comical to me to listen to, read TechCrunch and all of these disruptive innovations that are coming into the real estate industry. And the hundreds of millions of dollars of investment that goes into the real estate industry, only to try to discount and then say that didn't work, and then try something different and go back to being a regular model like Redfin. So I think it's interesting. So what is I haven't read the article, so I'm not even sure who it is, but it's on the cover of the Dallas Morning News. It looks like.
Yeah, this was June 1st. Doors to Disruption. It was an article about an entrepreneur that was basically going out to start a flat fee service to shake up home sales, and was going to charge a flat fee. Obviously, this guy's a 28-year-old Harvard grad who had this amazing idea after
never would have dreamed
of this idea.
Great idea.
It was a great idea after his
Harvard,
watching his mom pay the commission, the real estate commission.
Right.
So obviously commissions are negotiable, so that's awesome for us. I liked your when you were talking about it earlier. I liked your point of view or perspective on flat fee. Why don't you share that? That was pretty spot on.
My perspective, I've always personally believed in buying value. Price is what you pay, and value is what you get for what you're spending your money on. And it even goes back to Zig Ziglar said, "I would much rather explain my price one time than have to apologize for poor quality forever and ever." The discount model, it's not anything that's brand new. I can't track it back to when it first started out, but was it 10 years ago? Was it 20 years ago? Was it 30 years ago? But it's been around for a long time, and I personally don't get the model as far as from a profitability standpoint as a business. But I do experience, because one of the biggest discount brokerages in America is in our marketplace as well. But I think the client experience cheese just really falls off the cracker. Similar to like maybe a Disney World versus the county fair, or maybe Ritz-Carlton versus the Motel 6 as far as the client experience goes. And I'm not knocking the team that's in our area. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but just not what we believe in. We believe in delivering the best quality service that we possibly can. What is that service? That service is selling people's biggest investment for the most amount of money as quickly as we can, and for the home buyers, for finding them the perfect home, having a strategic plan to find them the perfect home, but also negotiate out at the best price. Because one of the worst travesties that can happen is not as much losing a bunch of money, but it can just be ultimately moving into the wrong home.
Right.
And I think it's confirmation to what and a lot of people would say we said it when it was the Darwinian thinning of the herd.
Right.
No one said the discount broker wasn't going to be there.
Right.
We said the middle would get wiped out.
Right.
So this is confirmation. Woods was saying in Phoenix that there's billboards everywhere with flat fee services.
Right. Well, this is not something that we're towards the end of a real estate cycle. Whether it's the end or not, is to be debated. But there will be a point when the market shifts again. And I haven't. I was talking about this at boot camp this morning, and as I opened up our boot camp this morning, and one of the things that in every market that happens is discounters get more and more discounters, and then when the market shifts, gone. That model doesn't work, and when people need advice on what to do to price their home, and the market's shifting, you have to be in contact regularly. You have to look at it almost like you're watching the stock market, because things are changing quickly, and when that happens, that model just dies. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over, and I've been in the business almost 20 years now, that was the embarrassing thing I mentioned this morning at boot camp. I was like doing the math. I was like, gosh dang, man, it's been almost 20 years I've been doing this. And I have seen a cycle, at least one, maybe not two or three like my dad has seen, but it's just not going to be, is it a viable model? Can you deliver the level of value and the communication and the expert advice? And what we've learned is you don't attract the kind of talent that it takes
to deliver the value, to be the knowledgeable expert advisor that's willing to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, in a marketplace to to do the things to extract the most money from the real estate transaction if you're selling, and to get the best deal, find the best financing, and all the different opportunities are around financing to get the best loan. Who's advising you in that scenario, and doing it for a flat fee is certainly a challenge in terms of being able to do a good job consistently. So I'm 100% in agreement. I can't fault people for trying to do if their goal is to provide great service and do it at a less fee. They just run up against the challenge that it's really almost impossible to do both, right? You have to do a lot to be able to deliver the value
And stay in
deliver.
business.
And stay in business, right?
Yep.
And the quality of people. I think that's one of the things that if you were to talk about lessons learned, I was mentioning this yesterday. Actually, I was talking to Braden's stepdad, my oldest son, who's I thought I was done raising him at 18. I'm just getting started. So we're going to Tony Robbins and everything, and I was talking to Jared about just. Actually, I just lost what I was going to say. What were we just talking
Tony
about?
Robbins and
Right before that.
UPW,
Yeah, it was something to do.
Braden Step.
Yeah, it was about. I was talking. It'll come back to me. It's that whole ADHD,
Squirrel.
right? But anyways, yeah. So, discounting. We all, there's probably everybody that's listening has an opinion about that. I don't think they compete with us. I think they serve a segment of the market. When the market shifts, it's no longer really that much of a threat. But right now, it's bigger. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. They're everywhere. They were all over our marketplace right before the market shifted.
Same here.
And then they were gone. So yeah, again, I think that's a testament to when people value the advice and they need the right advice, which I think when you're dealing with the largest transaction in your life, that's every time you sell. You want the person to give you that advice.
And I think it's even goes back to thinking about discount brokerages in this industry. Every industry has products that are the cheapest out there. You can go to Walmart and pick up a suit if you'd like as well too. Again, rolling it back to the hotel industry, Motel 6 or theme parks, any cars, Yugo. Yugo had a great, thought they had a great plan also when they rolled the Yugos out. But I don't see too many of them driving around on the road anymore.
Right.
We go.
The Yugo. I forgot
Yugo,
about
we
the
go.
Yugo. That's a good one. I saw a Datsun truck literally the other day trying to pull onto 380, which 380 is horrible traffic here, and it was pulling out of the gas station, but it was sputtering. And I mean, this is like a 1982 Datsun pickup, and the windows were rolled down. You could tell this thing was just barely going. I mean, it wouldn't get up above 30 miles an hour, but definitely not the right model to build the cheapest in a lot of ways. The Yugo, that's great. Wonder what his brokerage's name. Maybe
Yugo, I think.
Yugo. Good luck with that. Your mom sent you to Harvard, and that's what you came back with.
Hashtag.
So yeah, let's talk about. We're sure they get some hate mail from him. Good luck, buddy. I hope it works out for you. Let's talk about where were you in the business? 40-something transactions. I mean, that's success. Compared to the average agent, that's quadruple what they're doing or more. What was the place you guys were at that point, and what was the struggle, and what was your mindset? What were you looking for? Was it pain, or was it opportunity, or what was the mindset, and what was life like there, and what did you discover there at that kind of point?
It was a shitstorm.
Shitstorm? That's an official part of the process of
Yes,
building a
it
real estate
was
team is shitstorm.
24/7, no sleep, 2 a.m. still working. Our kids never saw us.
Right. Been there.
We didn't know if we were coming or going.
Right.
We didn't have the right systems and the right tools. We were just selling houses and just showing 5 buyers on a Saturday and maybe 3 listings on a Sunday, just nonstop, but just no time management. I mean, just absolutely, just nothing. I mean,
Hustling though.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think the underlying principle of the success that was bound to happen was you guys were hustling. You were working your tails off, and I don't know anybody who's been successful who didn't have that as a trait, as willing to do whatever it takes. But then, at some point the question is, there's got to be a better way, right? And did y'all reach a point like that, or what was the moment, right, that like it became clear there?
I can tell you exactly where I was standing when I had that
awesome.
moment. And I was standing in the breakfast area of our house, and I looked at Jason and I said, we need some coaching. We need, and I know the right people to call, and just trust me on this, and let me make this call and get us situated on the right track.
Right. So obviously looking for a mentor. It's funny too, and I hate
And it was
to go
you
to-
that she remembered from years ago.
That's I was going to ask that question too. Is how did you come to the conclusion? And I think getting a mentor. I think obviously things worked out good for the best. Obviously choosing us, and I like to think we were the best at what we were doing. And I think a lot of that goes to think. Our philosophy has always been is teaching you how to think about your business, so that you don't need us to make decisions for you. You just need to have a model to think through when you're making decisions, so you can always make the right decision. And that's what we had to learn about our business. And Jay Abraham, being a mentor forever of us and never giving us the damn answer, and always making us try to come to the conclusion of what the answer is, and think, oh no, think about what are all the ways to solve the problem, and then what's the best way. So like that's just that model for how to think about the business, so that that you can move faster without feeling like, oh well, my coach has to tell me what to do, or oh my coach is telling me if I can spend this money or not. Like that's not the way to grow the business.
No.
That's you have to teach them teach someone how to think about the business right. So the process for strategic planning, all that stuff is what helped us, which is what we teach. And I think it's what every time we look up, you guys were just like, now you're on pace for 200. Now you're on pace for like 400. Like the growth is just massive. Like in between the blinks between events and the times that we were seeing you guys that you were the story, the buzz around the office of you guys were just killing it. It's like, man, why are more people not experiencing that? And there's quite a few that do, but why not? That's what I'm trying to, I guess, get out of this conversation is there's principles around being successful. And I'm listening to a book. Actually, I read the podcast. I can't say that I read the entire book, Organizational Physics. That's a whole nother problem and challenge that I'm facing in the business that I'm always trying to solve. It's not a book I would recommend for everybody to read. It's pretty it's a great book, but it's definitely a challenge that we're facing with the number of people that we have and direct reports and structuring the organization moving forward. But in there he talks about success, and I thought this just reminded me of you guys. And he says it turns out that one of the secrets to the top of the top. Or there's 8 attributes that dictate success and happiness. So like most of the people that are successful aren't happy, and it was 1 out of 10, I think he said, in a study that the study was Vance Caesar of the Caesar Group. And the top 2 to 3% of people that are the most wealthy that are successful, only 1 out of 10 of them would consider themselves authentically happy. I thought that was really interesting. I was pretty shocked by that number, actually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that didn't seem like the people I know that are successful, I think, are happy, right? And so I think we kind of surround ourselves around those kind of people. But there was 8 attributes that dictate success and happiness. One was a driving sense of purpose, a compelling vision, an intrinsic feeling that your work is meaningful, and you don't get that in discount, by the way.
No.
Beliefs and behaviors that create inner peace. So I thought that was a really interesting. Beliefs and behaviors that create inner peace. Right, so there's a lot of things that we've picked up, bits and pieces along the way that that we practice on a daily basis, and how you end your day, how you start your day, the miracle morning, all of those types of things. A regular process, including the 3 R's, which I'm going to investigate this one deeper. But review, renewal, and recommitment. Which again, I think there's always this consistent, for us, this cycle that we go through, like renewing where we're at and recommitting to that plan. And I want to learn more about what he meant by that. But I thought that was interesting as well. And then the last one was an outstanding discipline. And you guys are like poster children for discipline. Like every day the workouts, we're all in an accountability group. If you're not a part of that, you should have an accountability group, and every day, doing the things that you have to do. And one of my favorite quotes is, if you want to change something in your life, you change something you do daily. And that's really, it sounds that it's that simple, yet the application of that is so easy for us to fall off and not do those things. And we're all guilty of it. We've all done it.
Yep.
But you guys are really, I feel like, the epitome of successful and happy. And what you're doing is really special. So I want to commend you on that. And I thought that was just an interesting find in the book that I was reading. So, Michael, is there any particular questions that I know I'm watching your face, and I know you're thinking something there.
Well, I think no, not at all. I think that I think for you guys, I want y'all to tell the story. Because I know, a lot of people don't know your team. They don't really know anything about you, and so, I think your story. I've been to your office, and I'm not just saying this. I mean, you might see a lot of interviews. This is one that I think. Again, I'm gonna give you another compliment where y'all are. Jay, I've realized, is one of the best students, and what I mean by that is he takes the notes. And then he likes to share, and he's a good trainer and teacher. And y'all are too. I think y'all have a lot of those common traits. I would like to know, what were the lessons, like Jay said earlier, that you learned as you went through this storm? What was the biggest lesson you learned right out of coaching? What was that change in your thinking, as Jay said? What change did you experience that allowed you to kind of move to that next level, if you will?
Mindset. Go ahead.
Go ahead. And I think it'd be helpful maybe even to go back to where we were, to circle back around to your question. Where we were at in life. Tracy's super successful prior to the bust, and had 18 new construction subdivisions, just flat out killing it. Back in, wasn't really feeling it even in 2008 when most agents in our area were feeling it. But in 2009, that is when she really felt it. Had one builder commit suicide, had a newborn baby, mother passed away of cancer. Life was hitting her really hard. I didn't even know her at that point. I met her later on that year. Life was really hitting me really hard. I was very successful in the remodeling industry, and the financing got cut off. There's no equity in homes, for big remodeling projects, etc. When you get into that, circling back around to what you're talking about with habits, you get into bad habits in your life. Tony Robbins talks about, and Jim Rohn talks about the habits that you put in your life, and the bad habits that we got, were just unfocused. We were just getting by, living by scarcity in our life, and that's when in 2011 I went to Tracy and I was like, "What in the world are you doing with your life? What are you doing right now? Used to be super successful. What are you doing?"
Right.
She looked back at me and she said, "What are you doing?" So that's, what are you doing with your life? And that was 100-0, 100% accountable, zero excuses. So November 2011 is when we both went back to work. And boy, it was really tough there, starting out, just really getting things going, and I'm learning this industry, and getting her name back out there. I have a face for radio, as everybody can see on the podcast. So what is the our strategy, and that's really winging, not even knowing what strategy and what strategic plans are. And I think that was the biggest thing, even going through 2012 and us doing 46 transactions with $4.6 million in business. To this year, our goal is actually selling over 500 homes, 137.5 million. But when we first went to our first boot camp, we currently have 12 of our total family members here, 7 of our partners, our new partners, and several buyer specialists and a couple of listing specialists as well. But our very first boot camp, going back to that, and where it's just kind of amazing to even be in this podcast right now, sitting next to Jay Kinder and Michael Reese. Anything really is possible in this world. But what was handed over to us in a treasure trove was, a lot of agents where we were at the brokerage that we're at the time, was everybody's alike. Everybody's getting the same exact coaching from the same exact organization. Everybody's doing the same exact thing in the same marketplace, and it's just all the same. There was nothing to add value to the consumer. There was nothing to add value. We were restrained from recruiting. It didn't make sense from a profitability standpoint, from a bottom line standpoint, and we didn't want to be the same. We wanted to be different. We wanted to offer massive value, didn't know how to get it. But it was like a huge treasure trove, things that I've had experienced in other industries, any product that I've ever been associated with. I've never sold anything I didn't believe in, for one. But for two, it's always been massive value. We have all these features, advantages, and benefits opposed to the others out there. And that's where the treasure trove was delivered to us, where handed over to us on a silver platter. Here are all the scripts to differentiate. Here is the presentation. And basically, some of this stuff is not rocket science. What we did is build the back end of our company on all the variables that are even within the 118 variables to maximize the experience for our sellers. We put all those variables and those pieces in the puzzle in place. And so that's where probably our biggest game changer. We signed up for coaching in August of 2013. The first boot camp we went to, I believe, was in September. And that's where my buy-in with NAEA was right there. Within probably about an hour, you being on stage delivering authority and the importance of, what if, Zillow did this or did that, or what if a game changer came into place? Because I think even at the time, Blockbuster video stores around Atlanta were falling left and right. Where in the heck are they going? We didn't know where they're going. But that's just even one correlation. Just Netflix or whatnot came and wiped it out. So ultimately, longevity, we didn't want to align ourselves with commoditization. So we wanted to differentiate, bring massive value to our clients. So, and that's really ultimately what we've built the company around. Related with have you ever seen the old movie or remember the old movie, The Field of Dreams? Yep. Kevin Costner. You build it, they will come. You build it, they will come. He says, I don't know how many times in the movie. What are we talking about building? Massive, just the best client experience out there. We're still working on it. We can't say that we've arrived. We will never say that we've arrived because Tony Robbins talks about Connie, which is constant and never-ending innovation. You always have to be innovating. Things are always changing. You always have to be on the leading curve of that. And that's what we feel that we definitely currently do better than anyone. And we're always looking to get better. Who did we learn all this stuff from? You guys. And that's one thing that's really amazing to us. Even talks that now that, with proximity with Mike, he'll call me in the morning. I'll be at the gym and it's 6:30 in the morning. And, we had a conversation for about an hour and 15 minutes last Friday. And, he's just teaching us how to think. It's not, hey, do this, hey, do that. Hey, I want to teach you how to think. It's like having the wizard. It's amazing. What is the price tag? What's the value that you can put on a conversation like that? There is not one.
I do have another question. So 2013, you joined coaching. Because I do think that the same deliver of value that we can give to the listener.
Yep.
So and Jay did the same thing for me. And bottom line, the way that Jay, I did not know. I had learned a little bit about personal development. I'd read books. I learned that from trying to chase a guy named Michael Tilley who beat me in sales. So Someone told me he read a bunch of books. I went and shopped him. But that didn't mean I bought the books.
That's what I'm about to say. Where'd you get it?
They were gifts that I had. Yeah, I did. I had them, and I will always say, and this is what you guys do, and most people don't do this. And I will, I mean, it's gonna be on the wall in our home, and it's the importance of investing in yourself. That was a mental model that I downloaded, and I even thought about it. I still think about it till today. Jay continues to invest in himself in that way. And one day we talked about when we reverse engineered where we came from, and I'm talking about giving credit to where credit is due. Other people who learn from other people, none of this is, some of it's just principle thinking, direct response marketing. People made it relevant to real estate, or understanding how to manage your referrals, but we're always looking for a better way. So you started thinking with mindset, which is amazing. You shifted the scarcity mindset, which I love the story we talked about, where Tony Robbins was down to his last $12 and walks over and lets the boy take his mom out to dinner.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and so scarcity is a terrible place. And me and Jay fought that a lot in the very beginning. We would have people who would come work in our organization that would operate from scarcity, and we learned in 2009, how can we add as much value to one person's life? And over the last couple days, me and Jay Abraham have been texting. He texted him last night. He texted me last night. I texted him the other day. And I texted him in NAEA. If you look on the wall, there's a Jay Abraham quote about value, and it's the strategy of preeminence. When we were pulling up to your home, that you operate from. And if you don't know what that strategy is, you should definitely find out more about it, because it is the way to live. I believe in your personal life. It's your approach. It's everything. So you learned that. You downloaded that. You had an operating guide. It doesn't come natural. It happens over time. What would you say? So you're at 2013. Kind of update us your transaction, because 2011, you guys had this conversation. What are you doing?
We had Christmas on for our family. Thankfully, we were even able to have it. But Christmas for our family was on December the 28th, not the 25th. The reason why is because we didn't have any money. And we do everything that we can to not be at that place in life again. So, I apologize. Squirrel. Boomerang. It'll come back around.
And so you were just updating in 2011. This is where you were, and then y'all were not a team. You got your license. You had done the building. You guys are getting back together. I want to know. Now you join coaching in 2013. You invest in yourself, which I think is the next principle. What happens that year?
Can I say one thing too, though? I think first of all, if you've never been to that place, because I've been there. We've been there. We've bet all the chips. And got to the point where we done everything we knew to do, and we weren't there yet. Right? We hadn't become who we needed to become. But the one thing we didn't stop doing, which I just want to point out, was Christmas is on the 28th, and you still made a choice to invest in yourself. You didn't stop that one thing. That's the moment of truth right there, is whether you fold it up and you don't come out of the corner fighting, or you continue forward. And that's where I'm just trying to identify.
You crushed this, dude. Like for me just now, you just triggered something, because I had this conversation with someone this morning. I mean, I had to give them the Love Dare. You remember the Love Dare, right?
Love Dare, yeah.
When you're struggling in your personal relationship, there's these books, and the point is that you remember John Reese's interview where he said John Reese was the first guy that made $1 million online, supposedly, whatever the narrative is, but one of Frank Kern's buddies, and there was a Money Masters course that ran about 6 episodes, and the very first one was John Reese, and he had kind of set the pace. But you did this too. I want to point this out because you said it. John Reese came, and we invested when just to kind of connect the story with us is that when it was hard with, I'm really good at just taking the stuff in the envelope and putting it in the drawer and be like, come on over. I just want to answer the door. I'm not, it ain't going to do nothing for you. I mean, I remember Jay telling me, he told his banker if he thought he could sell the houses better than him, he could come pick up the keys, right? And so. When
that was also 2008, 2009.
Because, it got hard, and it got hard quick, but what John Reese gave me the mental model, and Jay did it, is he said, John Reese, when he did his turnaround, he said, I had been putting all the mail in a shoebox. Remember?
Yeah.
He'd been sticking it under his bed, and I remember I was watching, and it was like the valley of the shadow of death, and I was like, I got a shoebox. It's actually a pile. It's like, and it wouldn't fit in a shoebox. And he says, I opened it all. And one night he said he opened up he woke up like at 12:05, and he opened every single piece and he added it all up. And he put it on a piece of paper, and he quit running from it, and he faced it. And that is the best thing you can do. And I remember having a conversation with you when I was getting a Valentine's letter, and you were like, dude, I just totaled it all up.
The damages from 2007 and 2008.
Yeah, and the point is that you have to face it. And so the main thing from a success principle and mindset is you quit letting the story as life was acting upon you, and you took action.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in that action, which is where I downloaded the mental affirmation as I face challenges head on, to always remind myself, which I was telling this gentleman on the phone, that it's right here in this moment. And so I just want to help. I'd love to hear the rest of the story on your action.
And I think you hit on something right there. There's two ways to be in life. One is folks that make things happen, and folks that let things happen to them. And it's the difference being a fixed mindset individual, as we have been. We are guilty of it, as others are as well. But turning more into a growth mindset. To be the best, we know that we have to seek the best. And yes, I do know that I borrow quotes from everybody because
So do we.
Those are just ways.
It's not original stuff, as even Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn brought him up.
Right.
And I think that's where did y'all help us out the most? And the line on our P&L that we're probably most proud of on the expense part is just the amount of money that's been invested back into personal growth. Darren Hardy, we didn't know who in the world Darren Hardy even was until going to your events, and he says that to invest 10% of your income back into personal growth, and and that's basically what we do. Even nowadays, working out, being on the daily accountability. What am I doing working out? Am I listening to music anymore? Your Motley Crue or hip hop or whatever it is to get going. I'm trying to train my mind just as much as I am my body. So I'm, listening to some old NAEA stuff with Jay Abraham that's available on YouTube, or listening. I didn't know who Jay Abraham who was either. But now that I know what I know, he's a $9.4 billion man on the cover of Forbes as one of the best business strategists in the world. Who is Frank Kern? Now I know who Frank Kern is, but really training your mind, watching the Frank Kern videos. It's amazing what you can also find on YouTube for free, just for folks out there as well too. That if you don't have a penny in your pocket, if you don't have the money to invest like into professional coaching like we did, we didn't have the money either when we invested.
Right.
We invested at the time probably the X amount of dollars was about half of what we had in the bank account at that time. So yes, we did roll the dice, for the payoff, not knowing at the time that it would even pay off. But if you don't have the money to invest in the coaching, wherever it may be, but with the right people, it being Jim Rohn videos, your best year ever is 4.5 hours long. But what if you just take one golden nugget and it just flat out changes your life? Just taking real estate off the table for just a minute. Even if you're not in real estate, just investing back in yourself.
Right.
And investment doesn't necessarily need to be money; it can be time.
Right. It's what you're constantly feeding yourself. And you said mindset, Tracy. I mean, what from your perspective, that's something that we can't. That's not something we instill. We share the things that have been extremely valuable to us. And as Michael said, there was a point in time where it became clear. The strategy of preeminence was something we've been aware of, but adding the most value to one person's life and trying to do that as many times as you can as the place we come from. In every relationship, I've seen Mike as an example of that. In every relationship, every new relationship, that's just the approach that he takes.
And as an organization, when you build an organization around that, it's phenomenal what things you can accomplish, and how much fun it is along the way, working with people and making a difference and that kind of thing. But mindset and what you feed yourself every day, I think, one of the things that, the fact that we're not a coaching company any longer. It's not, and that's not necessarily the right context. We don't sell coaching as a service, we coach people that we have built relationships with, that we partner with, or referral partners, and that level of thing. But it's the accountability. We talk about the accountability group, and if you're obviously you're probably on Facebook, you can search probably Michael Reese Daily Accountability,
just daily accountability.
Daily accountability, and it'll probably pop up. And there's this huge Facebook group, and every day, we're posting, the daily workout, and you have that outside. It's like the last piece of the puzzle, is the little bit of outside pressure that we don't have as entrepreneurs. There's not somebody to answer to, and you hopefully have a partner that's willing to do that for you, which is certainly helpful. It's been helpful in my relationship with Michael. I can tell you, y'all both called me this morning. It was 5:38. I was working out when y'all. I'm getting texts from y'all. You know what I'm saying? So like you ain't gonna beat Michael Reese up in the morning. So that was at 5:30. I don't know what time y'all got up, but that's the environment and the people that you surround yourself with, and there's still a lot of truth to. Your testament to sticking to it and the consistent feeding yourself, that positive, Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and all that stuff is what allows you to stay the course, right?
The average 5, you just hit it. You are circle back to your question. You are the average of the top 5 people that you hang around,
right.
And that's what has been game changing. Hanging around you guys for the last 3 or 4 years. So.
Right. I definitely agree with that. That's once your mind has been stretched beyond what you even recognized was possible, and especially once you've seen it, and you never go backwards from that.
And it's hard to get off the topic because people don't give it the value. They don't understand that if you don't get that part right, nothing else matters. 2013, you joined coaching. That year, what'd you learn? Where were you in production? Because Jay nailed it on the spot. He's got a great memory. I don't have a clue where you. I mean, I know where you are now, and I come in and see your beautiful office with the waterfall. You go to your other offices, see all your amazing partners, and it looks like I leave and come back, and you have a whole call center built. So unfortunately, I didn't spend a lot of time with you like I am now. I saw you and got to know you a little bit, but you were coaching with the coaches. I would love to hear the answer to the question, only because I want to know the nuggets. So when I see somebody else, I can say, yeah, this is what worked for other people.
In August of 2013, when we first joined NAEA, we were pacing, currently just for the rest of that year, we're on a pace maybe to wrap up at right around 10, maybe 10 to 11. We said, we believe in, we've been wagging it, which is, excuse my language, it's a wild ass guess. We were wild ass guessing like strategic plans. So we'd just throw it out in the universe, right. Our goal for the next year, and just so happened it would usually fall around August time. But our goal for the year was 12 million. So we're running, we're still doing good, but it's probably roughly around 10, 11 is what we were pacing. But we ended up wrapping that year out at 13.4 with 89 transactions. It was not easy. When we got that treasure trove we were just talking about of all these systems, buy-in, bringing that and having the team buy-in, because it was not in an immediate, here you go, here's all your stuff, and hey, go out and use it, and it's a perfect world. Right. No, it was going back to the ultimate sales machine, of the sales force and redundancy and the expert advisor, and is when at first people start believing it in here. Okay, it's starting to make sense. When they start believing it in here, that it's ultimately the best thing for the consumer, is when they start seeing it happen. When they start seeing that, hey, I just did this in a multiple offer strategy for my buyer, and hey, there was 4 other offers on the table, and we ended up winning, and our offer was not the best, and this is why the seller ended up taking it. So that's when they started to buy in, and it spreads. And I know that I hate to even use the word cancer, but the spread's like cancer, but in a positive.
Right.
Everybody. And that's also us knowing what we know now too, that we know that when we do have agents that come on that's been around the industry for a while, even in the hiring process, just making sure that they know beforehand that, hey, we're not like everybody else out there. We don't want to be like everybody else out there, because we're doing everything to super educate our consumers before they ever even look at making the biggest investment. So.
Right.
Whether it be again or, it's people's biggest investment. You have to be super serious about that, and that's why you raise your standards, you raise your results, and that's where we have really been game changers. Going back to 2013, to roll back around to your question. Apologize again. I have the ADHD too, so I circle.
Another common thread. Everybody's
Yes.
taking notes.
Yes.
Our first
You
buyer's
got it. You
agent.
might be
Have to
lucky.
have it.
You might be lucky enough to get there.
Our first buyer's agent, just open real conversation. We're at a place called On the Border, which is a taco place. They have some amazing tacos there as well. But she heard about us at the time, and we met her at On the Border. We had a margarita or two, and hey, we're having a good time, and you're having a good time. Let's go to work tomorrow. Shoot, let's do this.
Right.
That's how we hired our first buyer's agent. It's probably not the best way.
She did make 12 million.
Hey,
No,
that's
Or, I
pretty
mean, she did
significant.
sell 12
And that's
million.
no,
Yeah.
no. She in 3 months she put $12,000
$12,000
into her
in her
bank
bank
account in
Nice.
a month,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, I
rocking.
think that's where what we've enjoyed most is taking someone from point A and to point Z, being a just different point in life. She was a single mother, and trying to make ends meet, trying to pay bills, and was approximately $1,500 to $2,000 a month. We just, I kind of look at even training new agents as a career. To get from point A to point Z. What is Z? Z being retirement. What kind of vehicle do you want to be in? Do you want to be in that previously mentioned Yugo to get there, or do you want to be in a fast-moving Lamborghini? So we feel that we owe that to those people to get them there very fast, and I think that's one thing that where it's not, like you said at one time, it's even in a video on YouTube, the NAEA Mastermind video. Hey, it's not just about us selling a bunch of homes anymore. It's about how many lives that we impact, and that's what we're most about these days. And I think that's what's really helped us.
So
Right.
really
Turn corners.
it's just, what did we
Contribute.
do? How did we continue to grow and grow? And it's really having the right tools and the right systems and be accountable. I've coached with other people, and in my weekly coaching calls that I had with previous companies there was no accountability. It was, hey, what'd you do last weekend? Or are you coming to this event? Let's hook up and have a drink. And it was kind of like that. And there was no accountability, and I didn't gosh, I got this call with this, what am I going to say? And if I wasn't accountable and I didn't do it, and that frame of mind started that mindset changes. Girl, you got to get accountable. And, and you start grabbing books and start learning and start paying attention and the awareness. And, and then we find ourselves at UPW realizing that fear doesn't exist. And so that was huge for me, is all these things that I thought should have stopped me should never have stopped me. And I shouldn't have this such short, I've got to let it out, and I've got to stop and take these risks. And that's just who we are now. We take those risks and we implement very fast. We have learned a lot, and but we've made some really good choices as well that have gotten us where we're at. And it's in the hiring process, and it's having the right people on the bus, and just
It's about the people.
Yeah, and
Right.
we were with brokerages that stopped our growth, and we tried to. One wouldn't help us find the right people, to hire, because it would take away from their profit, and then the the next brokerage we went to, they just didn't have the room for us. So we were kind of stuck, and we couldn't hire this person to delegate this to because we didn't have anywhere to put them. So we moved out and found the right space and opened our own brokerage. And it's about having that mindset that it's not about me and it's not about Jason, and it's about how many people we can help, and where, when we look back at, later in life and look back at what we did, and it's really helping people buy and sell and invest, but it's also helping people that we now call our family, helping other people as well, and helping the community and children that can't play sports because maybe their family can't afford to allow them to play sports, or just being able to do that kind of stuff really is where we're at. Right. And it helps us grow more people, and having the right culture and the right values that we have bring the right people to help the consumer. So it's just it's a reaction to everything that gets us where we sit today from that growth. We implemented, and we have the right tools and the right systems and the right people.
I think from my observation, and I'm just on the outside looking in, I think you nailed your culture personally. I think that you run an amazing team meeting. Jason puts a PowerPoint together. You all have a rhythm that you go through. I do think there's a dynamic that you guys have that similar to me and Jay that is awesome, to have when you're going through all those different stages. When it comes to, let's just say, hiring, because I'm really impressed with the people that I got to meet, and a lot of people y'all have, but your best agent came to you by accident, right? So you've had their best agent called them thinking they were calling somebody else, but you're now at the point where y'all attract talent, right? Can you kind of tell us, what have you learned in that arena that's allowed you to put together such a great team of partners?
I would like to say, rather than best agent, one of our best agents, because we do have multiple.
And I was just saying one of your best producers. I wasn't laying out the awards, but one of your. It's to be determined. Yeah. I was just saying that one of your great agents that came to you did come as a result of so you have all these different ways that you're getting this talent.
Yep.
If you had to put your finger on it, why do you think? Where has it changed? Has it always been that way? No. From the On the Border story to now, what have you learned about hiring?
Definitely,
law of attraction.
Yeah, the law of attraction, and it really was. It was the mirror test. If if there was fog on the mirror, you were hired.
You're hired.
There were no
filters.
We got so many ahas looking at that hiring process, and just the different filters, and there's a test that people can take. So you can learn personalities and traits of people, and wow, now there's colors that people drive on different colors, and who they are, and it all makes sense, and it's just having clarity of really knowing, and then we know who we want on the bus. We know if they're the right fit, if they're gonna call, if we don't want somebody that's gonna come in with negativity at all. We have a positive atmosphere, and that's just what we want to be around, and that's where we've set ourselves is, do we allow negativity in our life? And it's no. And if there's
and the thing that I like when you're talking, I'm thinking of when I was there last time. You were sharing a story where you weren't bringing an agent on, and you actually went out and looked at this person's social media, and were scanning it, and this person wanted to come work for you. And then in another case, you were sharing a story where you actually had to let somebody go, and I feel like y'all really take the culture and y'all protect it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a pit bull, you have to.
We have to, and it's that.
It's a standard.
Yeah. There is.
Standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that and it's a dynamic. It's definitely worth mentioning, because I think there's a lot of people that if you did it like I did it,
you don't get the same result as what you guys have gotten. And this is just some of my lessons learned. And I had as many as 21 agents thinking I was going to grow the business with more agents. But the reality is that you have a focus, your position in the company, and one of the hats that you wear, and there's probably obviously multiple hats that you wear at a certain point, but you were focused on training them to be the best that they could be, and you held them accountable. You treated that team meeting at a level that I don't believe most people do. So like when you look at 13 million, 13.6 or 9 million, whatever it was, now on pace 135 million is a goal. How early on was that contributing to the success and the culture and that ramp? Because I think what a lot of people do is they go hire 3 and they give them a bunch of leads and they hope that they're successful, but they never get them trained. Right? They don't have time to train them. You're going on listing appointments. You probably hired an ISA, and you guys have a dynamic that most people that are individuals just don't have. And I think that plays a role in your ability to do both those things. And I think it's a part of the reason why most people don't ever crack the code to get to 1, 2, 3, 100, 400. But you guys had focused on what the things that were the most important that were driving the business, and you executed. And there was a division of responsibilities that did that. But how much was how much of that effort on the sales side resulted in the growth, and allowed you to get to this point? And then where was your time focused, Tracy, on, and what were you doing that was driving the business forward, that you feel like was making the difference on the other side of the stick?
I believe that it really gave people something to believe in, that we really did have there was a better way for us to sell real estate. Something that was added value that was not available out there, that we differentiated. Another quote that, going back to the field of dreams, one thing that's kind of got me right now, which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? Richard Branson says that the customer really doesn't come first. Your staff, your employees have to come first, because if you train them right, if you treat them right, they're going to take care of your clients. So,
is that strategy of preeminence across everyone you do business with, every vendor, every person that comes to work for you, and every customer? That's across all contact you have.
But even going back to that, we don't do part-time anymore. It's again raising the standards, full-time. We're always even adding more into our initial onboarding boot camp. Whether someone's been with our company or been in the industry for one day, or if they've been in the industry for 45 years, it does not matter. They're going through their initial onboarding with our company. So,
you guys remember when you came to Mastermind?
You have to do that.
I just had a moment, right? So, you guys, when you got into Mastermind at the very beginning, like one of the very first Masterminds, you were in the 230 transaction range, I want to say. I can't remember exactly which Mastermind it was, but you were feeling the pressure of wobble right on the team a little bit, and it was like I could tell you guys were stressed from it. So what do you feel like? What do you feel like was happening, and what do you feel like you went back and did there to fix the wobble and get control back, where the inmates weren't running the prison? Is where it starts to feel like I'm losing a little control here. It's how do I go back and get the right hires, right people? And it might have been more than on the buyer agent side. I think it was a lot on the overall company structure was the challenge, with people and execution. So what happened there?
When you have explosive growth, and you're the one that mentioned, I'm having a flashback too, and it's really weird because
it doesn't change.
He mentioned it before it happened. But when you have explosive growth, the biggest threat is growing too fast, and I've seen it with other companies in other industries. Is that again that client experience that we have to guard like a pit bull? It can start to accidentally slide off the cracker by not having the right roles in place. Client experience specialists, etc. And that's what we're experiencing, and that can be overflow of rolling back into buyers agents and listing specialists and when they're overwhelmed, when they're overloaded, when they're having to make all these lead conversion calls and still show X amount of buyers and they're super busy, don't you think that can also make it open to, oh man, I forgot to call that person back and I forgot to do this or I forgot to do that. So that really, is where we had to go back. We better go back to find out what are those choke holds in our business. Where can we plug these holes that we're currently having in the boat? And I think that's where we had to go back to the drawing board. To where if that would have happened back in 2012, we wouldn't have knew how to fix it. We wouldn't knew how to. We didn't know what a SWOT is. What is a SWOT? Is pinpointing what are our current strengths, what are our weaknesses, what are our opportunities. But right now, what are our threats? And we do those even into different areas. Even going back to client experience, let's SWOT out. What is client experience? What are we doing great right now? What are we weak at right now? What are some opportunities? But what are the threats? So.
That's so important. Like the decisions, and I go back to what we've seen, and when we've seen that rapid growth is usually a year of lull where they're going back and fixing all those problems, and their growth doesn't continue moving forward for a year. That's what I experienced at about 330 transactions or 364 transactions. It was the worst service. I feel sorry. I still apologize publicly to anyone who did business with me that year because it wasn't intention. I had great intent, right? But the systems just weren't there. The reporting wasn't there. The roles and responsibilities, none of that stuff was there. I mean, I had no idea what I didn't know. But that's you
the
guys.
Foundation wasn't there,
right? And it's the foundation for and we know this right now. But I hope everybody what they're taking away from this is what is that foundation? And I feel like we picked up a lot from Vern Harnish and really studying him and having him as a mentor and following the one-page strategic plan and getting all the input from everyone in the team and swatting out and looking at, hey, this is a weakness. How do we remove that weakness? How do we remove this threat? And choosing the right things in the right order and then having that focus and executing on that handful of things that need to, the least number of battles that need to be won to win the war, to keep you moving forward and delivering on the most important thing, which is the value you provide to your team and the extension of that to the consumer, and that's what has enabled you to make it through some of that rough water that I think a lot of people don't have is having that methodology for how to decide and having that involvement of the team and that level of thinking so that you're not missing anything or you're not missing some perspective and you don't see that 2x4 the ones that hurt the worst are the ones you don't see coming. And and then I think, and this is Michael always laughs, this is something I spend the most time on thinking about is lessons learned, right? And like, what were we thinking? We thought we were going to do this, and we didn't. What gave us the idea that we could do all these things, or why did we not do that? Was we overreaching? Was it the wrong priority? Like, really trying to challenge yourself to think. Did we choose the wrong priorities? Did we just not assess our resources correctly? Did we? What were we wrong about? And Michael's always saying he comes at everything approaching it with where are we wrong? And it just opens you up to seeing things you would never see otherwise. You just wouldn't see them because we sell ourselves on our own ideas. And that it's just a testament, I think, to how well you guys have executed that, because it doesn't happen by accident.
No.
It doesn't happen by accident. It happens with intent and intention and discipline and accountability and process and and that rhythm in the company that allows it to continue to go and go and go and faster and faster and faster, and it's amazing. So let's move up to today and talk about that 2,808 that I saw you post, man. I was and that's the it's funny because when we started this podcast, that's where we started was with we're breaking the $1,000 transaction mold. It's already that's a doable number by a handful of people, maybe. Now, how long is it sustainable? I don't know. How much can you grow it? I wouldn't try to grow it on the old team model. The team model just doesn't work. So at that kind of capacity, and it doesn't provide the most value to your team, and it doesn't provide the most value to the consumer. So we know there's a better model, and partnering with agents. But I want to just kind of talk about like what's different, how your partners feel about how you're looking at Atlanta now in terms of the overall market and the opportunity, and just kind of have a discussion about how you feel like 2,808 transactions is something you guys can easily do in Atlanta. And I say easily, I use that term lightly because nothing
say that
comes easy. Right.
again, a big thing is erasing limiting beliefs. There's not a doubt in my mind or in Tracy's mind that we can do 2,808 homes in Atlanta in 2018 with the help of our wonderful new partners here. Of course, we couldn't, without a doubt, we could. And I don't like.
Don't
the word
use that word.
can't.
That's fine.
No.
Yeah.
Without. It would be a lot longer
better
down
way.
the road.
Tougher.
There might be
It'd
a
have
better
been
way.
a lot longer down the road, is what I will say,
Right.
for us to get to numbers. And pretty much the vision that we've had for years is to take our top producers and sprinkle them around Metro Atlanta in pod locations. And it was just crazy how everything just came together. Even going back to the video that you guys shared with us with Jay Abraham, and you didn't know what you didn't know back then, but Jay Abraham was like, "Hey, that's what you should do is partner with."
Right.
Yeah.
Wasn't here yet. Wasn't there quite there yet.
But without a doubt, it can happen. It will happen. It's pretty simple with the numbers. It's 108 transactions. There's 26 market service areas in Metro Atlanta. So it's 2,808 transactions. How quickly can we ramp it up? I believe that 2018 be the year to do 2,808 transactions. So that's how I came up with the number 2,808 with over 700 million worth of volume. So.
So we'll do 3,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's usually what happens. Is you blow past that, and I believe that to be true just based on what we're seeing and what we're seeing in the model. And I feel like traditionally I think there's this shift in thinking because of expansion and people talking about how how to do this, but they don't really have they don't really have a model to extract the most value from the opportunity. So And again, I think going back and just looking at the traditional team model, as you grow it and step out, and you're still the listing agent, you got the listing partners, and you're trying to expand that across a marketplace like a Dallas or Atlanta. I just don't know how to make that work. It's very, very challenging in my head even to see how you try to make that work. And I feel like one of the big differences is the way we look at, and I shared this story this morning at boot camp, was I got shot by a seller. I had one agent that was killing it. She was a great partner, would have been a great partner. I was not at that level of thinking, but she actually left and went to Remax, and she did like 140 deals, and then came back to and she'd been on the team for a long time. And she went and listed a property. I had to kind of change around, and she was the one person I let list because she's going to list them. I mean, I was just making it harder if I didn't let her list them. So we had a seller shop us, and they called on their sign, and it came to the office and went through rotation or whatever, and somebody answered the phone that didn't know where that property was in the country, didn't know anything about it, couldn't have sold it if they wanted to. And it became clear, like, man, that should have gone to her. That call should have gone to her. Why doesn't it? It's just not the way we had designed things. So, you limit the success, and most of us that have been in this business have had success at the level where you got a listing, you take that buyer call, you sell that buyer because you know everything in the market, you've been through all the houses, and you're able to talk to them about the other house that you're about to have on the market. When you're a local expert in a market, that's how you become dominant, because you become the most knowledgeable person in that marketplace by default. You've been in all the houses, you're going on all those appointments, and you can't recreate that in our current team model that we had. It just doesn't lend itself to recreate that. So each individual becoming the incredible Hulk in a puddle is the right way to build a business that does 3,000 transactions. So I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm excited about the direction that we're taking things, and I'm excited about the podcast. I think this is we haven't had an opportunity to really share the stories that we want to share all the time, and the fact that right now I saw about, I don't know how many people, but it had to be 10 or 15 people. It was just trotting through, right? The wall here is frosted, and then you can see them from about the knee down. And it's ISA. I'm assuming that's ISA boot camp that's going on.
Yep.
And you might talk just a little bit about what's going on and what we're doing, and just tie the knot for those that haven't listened to the last podcast about ISA and data and what we're doing to drive these market service areas.
Yeah, I think what's always been important that everybody at this table was, Jason and Tracy. Last year we went to BVI. Y'all were in Miami. Now y'all have a place in Miami. You're not doing Christmas on the 28th. I think every day's Christmas. Y'all were in New York last week. You're in Texas today and going to be in Vegas this weekend. So y'all done very well. And nothing is more fulfilling to create opportunity for other people. And so we knew that and we had to execute and define a business model to utilize opportunity to scale. And the difference, Jay, that you were saying earlier, just momentarily, when you look at expansion versus the model y'all are executing, is y'all essentially said you're going to create opportunity for 26 people. You're not going to go in and try to be one person. You're really going to focus on that incredible Hulk in a puddle, and to do that, that's going to be generated. There's certain constraints in execution of that. There's certain things that have to be accomplished in order for that model to be fulfilled, and one of them is scalable lead generation. And so, one of the things that when you're working with an area partner like yourself, this is a conversation, a real conversation 2 days ago. I get a text and they're like, hey, listen, somebody's calling my downpayment.org leads. And now
I saw a copy of that text.
Yeah, and so now Jason's shopping them, and they're not doing it to his standard.
Right.
And he would rather call them himself because he would rather manage the process.
Right.
When we went out to dinner when I was there, you were going to go back in and write the script and do the calls. Well, 2 days ago, you made calls for 90 minutes and set 4 appointments. Tracy herself. When you're the reason why we do that is and the reason why this opportunity exists is that we're as a team of partners, we have certain roles and responsibilities to fulfill, and our corporate infrastructure is been working diligently on prioritizing our ability to build scalable lead generation models so that we can create and drive the model and deliver the value to those individuals where it would be at some point, there was a point where somebody, they want a Starbucks, but it's not franchisable. They want a Keller Williams, but there's no more opportunity. So that's at the end of the opportunity map. My neighbor 3 doors down from me sent me a video message this morning from Hong Kong, sitting in an infinity edge pool. He's the #1 income earner for World Adventures or something. World Ventures, which is a traveling organization. And our old CTO I had a call with yesterday, and the guy's making $500,000 a month net, or whatever it is. I mean, we didn't go into his detail. I know he just bought a lot of dirt for $1.4 million. And I was talking to our CTO where he said 24 months ago, man, I was making $10,000 a month, and now he'll do $384 million. He's the #1. And when I did New Psychology of Success, I said, I believe that these are all guys doing multi-level, but what they're really doing, and another friend of ours owns a multi-level marketing company. I was talking to him this morning. I was
in this building.
In this building,
in
yeah.
this office.
In this office. I was talking to him today.
This is his office.
This is his office building, and he's very successful.
Very successful.
And he said, Mike, I was just telling him, and Jay calls me up about this guy named Brandon Stevens, and is like, man, have you seen this guy on Facebook? Man, he's doing remarkable. And all of these people have opportunities that everybody else has, just like this partner is. And so there is some, ultimately at the end of the day, it's a lot bigger opportunity to help people sell 108 transactions in a market service area than it is to fulfill your own inner desires of selling 500 to 1,000, because honestly that becomes less fulfilling. 400 to 500, 500 to 600, 600 to 700. It's like a boat.
That you quit enjoying going on those appointments.
Yeah. So a buddy of ours said, our technology partner said, he just bought a new boat last weekend, and he said, what? I learned a long time ago because he had a Sea Ray, he bought another one. And then right when he does, the guy next door to him buys one that's twice as big. And he said, I'm not going to get in the game of trying to have the biggest boat. Yeah. It's not the game of trying to sell the most transactions. It really goes back to the strategy of preeminence, and something that Jay eloquently pointed out. It is the strategy for the people. When you really care about people, I talked to a guy yesterday, and I'm going to fig the number so he couldn't reverse engineer and know I was talking to him. I will round down. So I'm rounding down. He had 20 agents. I'm rounding down. and so he had 20 agents, and out of the 20 agents, they were doing only 200 deals a year. So he had more than 20 agents.
He's averaging like one deal per agent.
Less than that.
Or that,
and
Wow.
you know,
Maybe less than that.
yeah, and that's something that's inner focus, because you're just trying to get deals because of your. If you were really caring about the model, you would know
And the people.
that the model
What's that
supports.
delivered to the consumer at one transaction?
Yeah, and I think what you just pointed out is that the model, when it is the right model, it does consider the people.
Yeah.
That makes
Right.
it that because what you said about Richard Branson. You know, if you want to be able to really create an attraction type business where you're not fighting and over price. You're actually delivering value, and you want to create that in the marketplace, that experience, that Disney experience, and the people you want to attract to care. I think that's what that y'all are doing, have done, and continue to do, and you've set the standard, and you continue to raise the standard and champion that in your marketplace. And it's interesting to be first sometimes, because sometimes you see it way more clearly than other people see it. But I saw a smart man say, when do you want to know about it? You know, like when he was talking about the market, when do you want to know if it's turning? And he says, tell me when to stop. And everybody says, stop here. And he said, no, you wanted to know here. That's where the people made the opportunity. The people understood the opportunity by being able to see it quicker and faster. And I think the success thing that you said, that was my download, and I learned this lesson too, so I can definitely identify it, was that that failure is not bad, and so inaction is the only action that's bad. Will Rogers says, you know, you can be on the right track, but if you're standing still, you can still get run over. So, like for you guys, you're moving, and you're not being paralyzed by decision.
Right.
You're making decisions, and you understand that behind every one of those decisions, you'll either learn a lesson, like Jay
Right.
said, and that lesson might be a lesson on success that you're able to download, or a way not to do it in
Yep.
the future. But you're not letting that define you, because you understand that growth is something you're going to do forever. And when you get the right people into this model and going, I think I'm nailing what you were saying, and you build the scalable model, which we're working diligently on the call center. Y'all just built a call center. Working on the functional org chart to get everybody in the right place, and starting from the foundation, which is where we spent our most of our time on all of the reporting, so that we can really and
That's a big part of it. How many anybody that's listed in that's doing 10 or 20 million or above, how many Google spreadsheets do you have to have in order to see the data? And you still don't really see the data like we do now, right? Like the thing that you can see down to the P&L, that's having a CFO and a financial forecasted model tied to it. You just don't know that until you see it and experience it, and then you make decisions. I didn't mean to cut you off, Michael,
you didn't.
But it's for me, I think the decision making, even for those of us who are quick decision makers, and we make a lot of decisions, make a lot of wrong decisions too, but we're still moving forward, like you're saying. I think that's a character trait of success. But like when you see the data, and the data's telling you, and there's no denying it, the decision becomes automatic. I mean it does it. There's no question. And you learn things. I can't tell you how. We talked about this in a couple of the previous episodes. I did not know that you could create a seller opportunity at a lower cost or an equal cost as some of the other things that we do in marketing with a call center. I didn't know that the cost to do that was as low as it was. I would have never dreamed. I would have argued probably there wasn't, but never could have seen the data tied together to see that was the case. Nor did we have the right vehicle, the right technology, or the right data
No, what really happened is you had the right mindset to think you were wrong.
That's true. Plus, I put it on your plate, and you proved it. You proved it to be doable.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's those are the types of things that now that we know that we have a path we can charge down and not stop, because a lot of times we're doing things and we stop doing it because we don't really know the impact it's having, and you can't really measure and see the bottom line and what was predictable about that.
And I think that that once you have the data that tells the story, it just your ability to make those decisions become faster and more confidence behind them, and you're willing to put more investment into them. And that's been a huge get for us, I think, in this business model. Is we've never had that. You don't have a CFO in your real estate team. That's not a hire that you generally have. You make that hire.
Do y'all know
it wasn't
that?
on my list.
Not talking about the average agent. Let's talk about the super successful agent out there.
Right.
How many really run a business as a business, knowing exactly what their P&L is, knowing exactly what their net profits is, knowing exactly where their business is? Because I know that we didn't for a long time. Those are things that you guys had to drag us kicking and screaming to really dial in, just really so you can make educated, not
Now we don't
wild
wake up
ass
without
guesses.
looking at
Right.
It's educated, decisions, about where you should move your business and move that needle. So that's
you make a
really the
compensation-
foundation you're
Right.
talking about, the tracking and reporting.
And that, what's funny about that is who teaches that in the real estate industry? There's nobody that's teaching you, financial forecasting there's a handful of agents, and we know the top agents in the country or across the world. We work closely with them. Most of them would never want to share their P&Ls with us. They wouldn't want us to see that, but we've been able to see a lot of people's P&Ls over the years, and looking at the business model. It depends on your average sale price of whether or not they're profitable or not, and that's the variable. Oh yeah, I'm very profitable. Well, your average sale price is $800,000. That's a different story. You got a lot of room for mistakes in your model. And I still go back to Lawton was a good place for me to have to figure things out because there was no room in the model for mistakes. So you had to get the compensation right. You had to get the model as best you could.
They didn't have a scalable model.
Right, they didn't have a scalable model by any stretch, but you have the ability to be successful and profitable at a margin. But are they paying themselves a market-based wage? All those things that we learned that how do you replace yourself if you're not paying yourself a market-based wage? You're not really looking at profit the right way. And there's some people that I know that are doing they're running P&Ls, but they still don't know what's predictable about their business, if there's anything predictable at all. And if they had something that was predictable, they could hinge on that and scale and grow with it. But most people don't. It's let's go expand to a new marketplace, and we'll do expired and physical because that's what we've always done. But if you try to attack a Dallas with physical and expired, with one agent, what happens? You got to send them all over the globe. You know what I'm saying? And your ability to take advantage of that opportunity isn't even real. It's just you're gonna continue to spin your wheels, which is what's happening. Which is why everybody in expansion is struggling with it, and they will continue to while we surpass them and dominate the markets with a model that's better and with people that are experiencing a much better opportunity for themselves. So I'm excited about it. I think it's awesome. I think what you guys have done is phenomenal, and I appreciate your transparency and sharing. Really the nuggets that that I think hopefully everybody walked away with here. That they can go back and really challenge themselves as to them. I really, one of my favorite quotes is one of Darren Hardy's, and that he shares in his productivity training that we did with him. And it's you can say, oh yeah, well, I've heard this before, and we've all heard it. We've all heard it before, right? But would your results prove that have you mastered it, and would your results prove that you've mastered it? And that's when where the rubber hits the road is, okay, yeah, I've heard that before, but have I mastered it? And would my results show that? Are my results right now showing that I've mastered that? And I think most of us, when we look at that, say, I could always do better. And then you just adopt that. That's a never ending. That's a lifestyle of growing. So and you guys are great examples of that. So thanks again. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add or anything to share with the listeners. You don't have to.
What would you say to someone who was in Atlanta and they wanted to?
There you go. That's a great.
Like, what are you tell us about Atlanta and what your plans are and what you're looking for. Are y'all looking for obviously talented people? And
currently, great question. Yes, we are looking for great partners out there. And I feel where is the team model broken to even start that out with? We've lost some great folks. There's one lesson learned that we have had. We've lost some great folks that we wouldn't have lost with the new partner model. Being where the team model is broken is that people people want more. They want to have what we have. They want to be able to have a team. They want to have a team of their own. They want to have buyer specialists. They want to have the right admin in place. Want to have the notoriety of having their name on the sign, having their name out there. Want to be able to build their business, build a buildable, sellable, exitable business, and that's where the partner has just blown the lid off of that, because our business model was a problem. We again lost great people, but now that we know what we know, that the opportunities that we've shared with our new partners, they are just so extremely excited about the opportunity that they have, because it pretty much kind of like taking an onion, it unpeeled that, hey, I've always wanted a team.
Right.
How it used to be, there was no way for me to have a team other than leaving your company.
Yeah, right. We're
they
trying to
didn't
stop
say
that
it.
conversation, because how do you make that work?
They didn't say it that way, but this has opened up a new opportunity for me. And here's the best thing of it. And even Tony Robbins, we went to Tony Robbins Business Mastery. It's talking about learning. It's $15,000 for 4 days for 2 tickets that we went to in Las Vegas last year. And that's what he talks about. If you were to open another company, you want to leverage. You'd want to have as much, as little downside in the business. Downside being all the risk, being all the money involved that it does take to build brands, but to have all the top end being the reward. So. Basically, our new partners, we're putting them in business. We're teaching them all the things that we have learned, how we've grown the business at a minimum of 103% year over year the last 4 years. So we're teaching them all those lessons learned that we've learned the hard way in the past, and basically taking time and collapsing, growing them, and allowing them to grow their own team. So to answer your question, Michael, that's exactly what we're looking for right now, focusing on partners that we're also going to help recruit their buyer's agents. As we talked about earlier, no, we're not going to suggest, hey, going on the border and having drinks and hiring your first buyer's agents. We're going to show them all the systems that we have in place, teach them strategic business planning, and it's ultimately for them. It's not about the income. It's not about shoving as much income into your bank account. Of course, it's about making income, of course, but it's about quality of life. It's doing what you want, when you want, with who you want. That's my definition of success, and it may be different for others. So. We're just really excited about it. Our people's really excited about it. So,
and the one thing I want to,
and we need others.
Right. Yeah, and it's you basically you've shifted being a team. When you say the team model is broken, it's broken because there is no one team model runs on the same systems, processes. So there's no efficiency. One guy does it this way versus this way. What y'all have done is built a hub and taken all of the knowledge that you've had and allowed other teams to not have to go do the things that took you 4 years to figure out, where they can actually, if they do the math, they can make more money faster and be more efficient staying face to face with customers, all the way down to, it's not saying that you're not going to have a team of agents, but you're going to have a team of agents that are working on a scalable lead gen model, which means you're going to get learning from somebody who's running on one side of Atlanta versus another, or in Dallas versus another, and through all of that you're going to continue to get efficiencies. And then there's this distribution network of real estate services. So a traditional team has to come out and they have to hire an assistant. That's a big thing for people. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people they don't make that risk because they don't have a mentor that says do it. Don't look at it for a year, only look at it for 6 months. There's a lot of things that stop that action. Thought is a constraint in itself. What you do is you remove those things and put your money where your mouth is, because you've already demonstrated it, and you remove those bottlenecks, move those constraints, and partner with them and do those things for them so that they can stay face to face with the clients. And then you allow them to get other additional revenue streams by leveraging leveraging themselves with predictable lead generation and leveraging themselves with people. And then you provide that backbone of coaching and all the things like I had to this morning with an agent on the phone, where you're able to invest in their mindset that we talked about earlier. And the current team model is you read a book and you want to grow a team. Doesn't tell you the lead generation, doesn't tell you the CRM.
Talk about that red book.
It doesn't tell you. Yeah, it doesn't give you all the pieces. So you're left to put them. It would
When did that
literally
book
be
even come out?
Yeah.
in 2004. It would be
Yeah.
literally.
Long time ago.
It would be like literally delivering you all the pieces to the car. And yes, you can put it together. Anybody can, but there's a lot of learning versus to get to the value. And so you provide the value that gets unlocked when you start looking at how to build a scalable, duplicatable model and creating opportunity for the right person. So I think y'all are visionaries by the definition. Y'all see it, y'all get it, and we're very lucky to be able to have you guys as partners, and we feel very fortunate.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for being
you.
here on Face to Face. You heard it here, Face to Face. Keeping your agents face to face. That's what the partner model is all about. That's where money's made in real estate. Anybody show me something different, I'd like to see it. But keeping people face to face. And if you're interested in Atlanta and becoming a partner, I know there's some areas that are still available in Atlanta, but that's an opportunity. So if that's for you, you definitely want to get in touch with Tracy Cousineau, Jason Williford. How do they get a hold of you guys, by the way, just in case they want to? Probably not hard to find in Atlanta, are you?
No, we're not. TracyCousineau.com. If you go to TracyCousineau.com, that's cousin with an EAU.com. There's a tab on the landing page that says join the team. And if you scroll down to the bottom, it will give you instructions if you're interested.
Right.
And we actually have other partners. By the time you watch this video, there might be
Yeah,
other areas available. Houston, a lot of other areas we're opening up. So you can email in to partner@NAEA.
Right.
Perfect.
So partner at NAEA.com?
Yep.
So shoot that in. We're scaling nationwide, coming to a city near you. And thanks for joining us. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave comments. Talk trash. We love it. Bring it. We're all about it. Challenge us. Challenge our thinking. Tell us where we're wrong. We're open to hearing your feedback. We
Subscribe.
love you. Appreciate you. And we got more fun stuff coming. So make sure you subscribe and follow us follow Michael on Snapchat.
I'm not on Snapchat, but Daily Accountability Facebook if you want some accountability from these guys.
All right.